Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the Story Nook. Today, we're going to be reading a story that I have not continued in so long that I have been greatly enjoying, called Hello, I Am a Witch, and My Crush Wants Me to Make a Love Potion by Iko Mutsuhana and illustrated by Vient. Now, what have I actually been doing? Not a lot. Last time we left off in part of chapter 2, right here. I don't recall ever finishing chapter 2, so we're gonna finish chapter 2 as I wait for my husband to get home. So yeah, if you like these videos, make sure to leave a like, and let me know what other stories you want me to read in the future, because I am interested. Pardon the intrusion. Of all the unbelievable things, Harij came the next day too, carrying yet another delicious-smelling basket with him to boot. There was still plenty of time before the 1 month to prep the potion was up. Harij should have been well aware that he had no business to attend to at the witch's hermitage right now. He gracefully took a seat and waited after handing the food over to Rose, who stared at him with a muscle twitching in her cheek. I beg your pardon, but my home isn't a destination for hanging out, Rose said bluntly, unsure of why he came. Still, she couldn't stop from taking an excited peek inside the basket. Yesterday's bread tasted heavenly. Whatever he brought today, she had high expectations for it. After what happened yesterday, Rose was afraid that things were going to become even more awkward than before. But it had quite the opposite effect. She was able to speak more naturally with him now. It turned out... It turned out to be a good case of shock therapy. Well, at least I forgot what I showed off yesterday. It totally didn't happen. Don't worry about it, Harij said, taking out a book he had on him. He then proceeded to read it. She had no idea what his comment or his actions meant, but she was willing to let it slide because the goodies he brought today smelled heavenly. What taste is waiting for me? I want to cut into it this instant. Rose, who hadn't experienced a regular diet before, was entirely fascinated by everything Harij brought. It was safe to say that he had tamed her with food. Speaking of taming, there are kittens at my papa's house, like itty-bitty kittens. They're super cute. One of them is pure black. The mama cat is very young and sweet. I want to get her spayed. And the 2 kittens are adorably tiny. They would fit in the palm of my hand. I was able to get somewhat close to the black one who hissed at me. But it was a cute baby hiss. But the mom let me pet her, which was nice. But I would like to get them fixed. So if you want to slide into my Ko-fi and send me like $1 or 2 so I can get the kittens fixed and the mom cat fixed, so there won't be any more just random cats hanging around like my papa's yard. Because these cats don't belong to anyone. They just hang around the property. That would be awesome. When she stood in the former kitchen, where her workbench had taken over, Harij peered up from his book and said, "Put a lot of tea leaves in my cup." Oh, right. It didn't occur to her to serve him tea. Until now, Harij had left the moment his business was finished, implying he didn't want to stay in her hovel a second longer than necessary. So was this his way of declaring he planned to stay for a while? What in the world changed his mind? The witch's hermitage was neither a hangout nor a cafe, but she couldn't refuse him after he delivered delicious food to her. Somehow Rose managed to open and close the cabinet that was still a terrible mess with some mighty loud crashes, all while successfully unearthing a tea tin. She had received it ages ago as a thank you gift from a certain esteemed member of the peerage for preparing a secret potion. Rose looked inside and couldn't help but utter aloud, "Oh dear, it's moldy." "Stop right there. You better not be planning on brewing that! Courage stormed over to Rose and snatched the tea tin from her hand. Next to the stunned witch, Harid peered into the tin. After a long moment, he softly closed the lid in silence. I'll bring some tea leaves with me tomorrow. If you say so. Wait, what? You're coming again tomorrow? Yes. Do you have any tea preferences? No, I certainly do not, but... Rose fumbled over her response. She was bewildered by the sudden increase in Harid's visits. It wasn't necessarily a problem, because other visitors never came during this hour, and he wouldn't distract her from her potion making. The real problem was whether her heart would last with the object of her affections being around all the time. Oblivious to her feelings, Harid cocked an eyebrow. But, well, I was wondering if you have the time to visit this often? I visit because I have the time. Of course he does. Rose stated the obvious in her thoughts. My subordinates have been on my case about not taking any days off. They apparently want me to use up my paid leave until the large-scale reassignment takes place soon. Ignorant of the way of the world, Rose could only tilt her head. Long story short, instead of taking a whole day off, I'm extending my lunch breaks. Harid put it in simpler terms, but Rose still couldn't quite wrap her head around the concept. What she did take away from it was that Harid was going out of his way to visit her, with gift baskets of food. Feeling Rose's gaze upon him, Harid glanced out a window. I can relax here. She followed his gaze out the window to where the greenery grew in abundance. Summer in the forest was Rose's favorite season of the year. Young green sprouts took over and sunlight shone through the tree cover, brightening the year-long dark forest. Do you like the woods? Yes. Me too. I like it a lot. Rose had been looking at the woods since the day she was born, and she's still never tired of it. For a witch who lived together with nature, the changes in the forest were also a lifeline. Keeping a careful eye on even the smallest of daily changes allowed her to discover new things every day. The same could also be said of her crush. Delighted by this new discovery, her lips spread into a slight smile behind her sleeve. I'm afraid I don't have any black tea. Will hot water do? Good enough. Harid seemed surprised by her offering plain hot water, but he didn't complain. His attitude towards her had softened significantly. Perhaps he was staying longer, not just because he enjoyed the forest, but also because he had gotten used to being in the presence of the witch. Rose opened the basket while she waited for the water to boil in the pot. Inside was a gorgeous tart that dazzled the eye like the most cherished jewelry inside a noble woman's jewelry box. What is this, sir? Tartatin, supposedly. Tartatin? Even the name had a lovely ring to it. Rose couldn't help repeating it. Tartatin. She was enjoying the tart before she even tasted it. The tart tatin resembled an apple pie that had been accidentally turned over. Apples cut in various shapes, sizes and shapes, then sautéed in butter and sugar, sat snugly in the pie pan. The caramelized apples twinkled in the sunlight like gems. It would be a waste to eat such a work of art. Rose deeply inhaled the rich aroma. The smell of spices and juicy apples intermingled with the sweetness. She caught a hint of what might be cinnamon and rum. Fun fact I know about tartatin simply because I watch a lot of cooking shows. And one of those cooking shows is MasterChef and Hell's Kitchen and all that. And on MasterChef, there's an episode where they have to make tartatin as a challenge. And it is amazing to watch. Cutting it with a kitchen knife proved difficult. Although the evenly sautéed apples were tender, Rose had to apply pressure to cut through the harder bottom layer. When she cut into the corner, her knife sliced into a hardened piece of caramel with a crisp crunch. She stifled a tiny scream at the sound that reminded her of cutting through bone. That does not sound fun. The sound of cutting through bone. A sigh of relief slipped from her when she finally managed to cut a piece. The dessert was beautiful from above, but the cross-section view was yet another sight to behold. The tender, sweetly sautéed apples looked like they drank a cup of caramel, and then napped in what they couldn't finish. The dark amber interior drew a beautiful contrast with the brown pastry crust, making Rose wish she could stare at it forever. But a tart's true value came from eating it. She returned to the table with the cups of hot water and slices of tatin. Ridge put his book aside to eat. "Thank you for dessert," Rose said, expressing her gratitude, and plunged her fork into her slice. Soft apples spilled out of the pastry. She glanced over at her Ridge. The tart maintained its perfect shape for him as he ate it with a poised expression. Rose brought the tart to her mouth in a nervous anticipation. The invigorating smell of apples and the bittersweet caramel brought Rose great joy. The color may have been cooked out of the apples until they turned translucent, but their crunch was alive and well. Before such divine deliciousness, Rose put down her fork and prayed. God was here. Ridge briefly watched her reaction before moving his fork without saying anything. Rose washed the dishes as soon as they finished eating. She was confident she would leave them lying around collecting mold if she waited for her Ridge to leave. Though it was extra work, she told herself washing dishes took less effort than the rest of life's necessities as she forced her hands to move. For that matter, she felt insecure serving her Ridge food on the dishes she used herself, especially if he planned to come more frequently. I also hate washing dishes. In fact, I left dishes in the sink so long that one molded, and I threw that bitch away. I threw a lot of things away that day because I'm just like, shit, depression. The few times she had served him so far, it was done on mismatched plates. The dishes her grandmother used while she was still alive must have been somewhere in the hanging cabinet above the sink. Rose tried in vain to reach the cabinet. Instead, her brand new Viridian blue robe got splashed with water. After wearing it once, she had realized it was just like every other cloth. Now she wouldn't hesitate to wear it while making potions or working in the field. Standing on tiptoe didn't do the trick either. So she gave up to search for a good-sized wooden box to stand on. "What are you trying to get down?" Ridge asked from directly behind her. "Oh, don't trouble yourself, sir. Please sit back down." As someone who rarely interacted with others, Rose wasn't used to people showing her the kindness most took for granted. Experiencing just a simple taste of kindness from her crush made her heart melt. She didn't want to fall even harder for him to the point she couldn't dig herself out. "Which is it? Just tell me." However, she was dealing with a nobleman. Rose had learned from her experience as a witch that things went faster if she just went along with the noble client's whims. Which I think is awesome. All right. Can I impose upon you to open the left cabinet door? It was easier said than done. The stuffed cabinet refused to open. It took a lot of effort to pry it open, even a crack. "Move, you might get hurt by the stuff that falls out when I wrench it open." Hiccup. No. You might get hurt instead. You think a few things falling from a cabinet could hurt me? He gave her an incredulous look, but every human was capable of being hurt. Besides, Ridge's handsome face was a work of art. Should his beautiful face get bruised, Rose might go wild with the desire to rub every Slav in the house on it. "Please." All right. I'll open it carefully, so stand back a few steps. This reminds me, we were at the store today, me and my sister and her 2 children. We were trying to get, like, a sparkling water down from a shelf, and we're all short. I think she's 13 or 14 now. She's the tallest, but she couldn't reach it. So my sister got down on, like, her hands and knees so that her kids could use her as a step stool and get the things off the shelf. Because short people problems, and we didn't have a tall enough person. Why should I stand back if he's going to be careful? Rose was a sensible witch and determined that any further questioning would only make them both become stubborn. So she stepped away from the cabinet. Harij inserted his hand and a rod into the opening she had managed to make and moved back the stuff jammed against the door. After he finally yanked open the cabinet door, a variety of items fell out. Harij caught everything with the nimble hands of a juggler. Bravo! You should really learn how to clean. Rose chose to answer with silence since she couldn't lie. Harij carefully placed the outpour of objects on the floor and repeated his query. So, which item did you need? The one behind that jar. Oh, be sure not to touch that tiny bottle. Please make sure not to brush your hand against the paper bag beside it either. It's toward the back to the left, near the corner on the right. With his patience diminishing, Harij grimaced at her. You find it. What? She was in the air before she could react. He held her up by the waist. Grab it. Oh, okay. Rose wasn't sure if this was when she should turn red or blue, but she followed orders anyway. In a flurry, she rummaged through the cabinet until she found the wooden box in question. She conveyed that she had completed her mission by bobbing her head faster than a cat stalking its prey. Harij softly lowered her to the floor. But that came the end of the warmth she had felt through her thick robe, radiating from Harij's body. Relief washed over her. You still haven't packed on meat? Huh. What a way to check someone's weight. That settled it. He might acknowledge her as a human being, but not as a woman. Nevertheless, Rose was a witch. Whether she was viewed as a woman didn't matter. Retrieving plates from the box came first. It doesn't matter, damn it. Tears are obscuring my view. She grabbed the wooden lid and ripped it off the box with a vengeance. Then she peeled off the cloth, revealing Celadon porcelain plates, without a speck of dust on them. Yes, I found them. So pretty. The color is beautiful. It must have been made by a very skilled craftsman. I was hoping to use these dishes during your next visit. Chills ran down her spine when you realized... Forgive me. My body is just like, hi. Breathing's gonna become difficult for you the next 5 minutes. Chills ran down her spine when she realized what she was about to say. That was the assumption of a fool who believed he would bring sweets again. Rose was disgusted with herself for harboring such hopes and fantasies. What's wrong? It's nothing, I just thought I should increase the tableware I have on hand to meet the recent surge of visitors I have been receiving. This is why I hate love. Why do I make such a fool out of myself? Rose felt miserable. She shouldn't have to make up such an excuse for his sake. Instead, she should have just shut her blabbering mouth. She pressed her lips together. 1 second she saw Harij was staring down at her, and the next he flicked the corner of her hood. The hood slid off her face. What? She squeaked. Come to think of it, I can't see your face. No. You're not supposed to see my face, she shouted, completely forgetting about her stroke of depression in the shock of the moment. What do you think you are doing? She accused, quickly grabbing the sides of her hood to yank it on. Except he grabbed her hands before she could. I told you that I can't see your face, didn't I? And I told you that you were not supposed to, didn't I? You sell things at your customers, to your customers with your face hidden? Yes, I do. A witch's secret potions are made of mysteries and secrets. But besides, right, it's also a way for me to protect myself. Then it's unnecessary right now, isn't it? More like right now is the time when it's the most necessary. Rose quickly turned away her face. The moment I told you my secret, you became the #1 person I have to keep my face hidden from. However, Rose couldn't tell him that. She didn't want to portray Harridge's image of her now that he seemed to finally trust her for whatever reason. Harridge tightened his grip when she delayed her answer. Rose curled her fingers into the hood and said, "Very well. Then please tell me exactly why it is better for me to show you my face." You want to know why? Tell me. Does the rest of the world know about the witch's secret that you accidentally spoke of to me? Rose whipped her head from side to side. He asked a preposterous question. She planned to take the secret to her grave. She hadn't even spoke of it to Tien, who had known her for many years. She couldn't speak for other witches, but she was fairly certain they kept the secret just as close to their hearts. Then doesn't that make me the only person you can speak to with your face shown? Rose was petrified. Harridge had caught her so entirely off guard that she gaped at him. Aren't I the only person to whom you can honestly say, "I don't want to say anything because it will be a lie," when that expression shows up on your face? Rose pressed her lips into a straight line until her teeth cut into them. Otherwise, she might... Oh. There is. Otherwise, she might let something slip. It would have been so much better if his reason was merely along the lines of it being rude for her to talk to him while keeping her face hidden. Then Rose wouldn't have much to fear even if she lost her hood. Never in her wildest dreams had she thought his reason would be for her sake. Harridge was trying to become the one person she could truly talk to after losing her mother and grandmother. The sole person who shared her secret. Is that why he's coming here for no particular reason? He was trying to take responsibility for the secret he accidentally became privy to show Rose kindness. Finally, Rose dropped her hood and offered a thin, weary smile. It has been a long time since I've spoken to someone face to face. I might say or express something rude. She was incapable of rejecting Harridge's kindness. Looking down at her smile, he gave a satisfied nod. Your face is as cute as I thought. As I thought? I can't go through with this. Rose pulled her hood back up and kept pulling it on it until the cloth covered well past her chin. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought she would die from it blowing up. She had read in a book somewhere about a curse in a distant world that went something like, "Blow up and die, happy people." Surely this curse referred to the near-death experience she was having. Sorry, my nieces have recently been on my case about calling them cute as well. I won't say it again. Too late. This hood isn't coming off ever again. Lady Witch, please. Bastard. Stringing a line of black curses in her heart, Rose waited forever for it to settle down. What page is this? 50? How much longer? Alright. I have some this coming, so we're gonna end this video at that point of the hood's never coming off. So, here. Come in. Here. I was wondering thought you were calling. I'm sorry.
No, I was too close to the door.
I was recording YouTube videos.